And for the last time, hey, we're back at the top again today with a special video. Why is it the last time? No, I'm not going anywhere myself. But if you stuck around to the end of the last video regarding Soul of the Storm, you might have been able to guess what the plan is. A little bit. I don't know. Please stick around until the end to see what I plan on doing for the future. Either way, this video is something that of a retrospective on my time in the Pokemon community, my channel, my experiences, and what will be happening moving forward. I won't try to focus on myself specifically the entire time, and I will mainly focus on what I experienced and what I saw happen throughout the Pokemon online community. To start, we have Generation 6, Pokemon X and Y, where a lot of the community springboarded. I was due to purchasing 3DS capture cards from people like Katsukitty or Loopy. It was either one of the two. However, the creators, you definitely knew the names at the time. Shady Penguin, Game Boy Luke, Hoodlum Callum, who used to go by Hoodlum Scrafty for the record. A lot of these and many other creators posted all sorts of content around this time in 2013. Let's Plays, Nuzlockes, and Wi-Fi battles were the usual go-tos. It wasn't until March 2014 though when I found this content, and I would train up Pokemon while watching Shady's Wi-Fi content, usually 2 videos a day. That is what he'd say, now today. Why would I say his old intro specifically? Well, that's because Shady is where I got the initial spark, the initial inspiration to do my own content. It wasn't until September 2014 when I actually got my own capture card, but I could really only do what I could with the limited specs on my computer at the time. Also, later in 2014 was the initial start of shiny hunting, at least as we know today. A-Drive wasn't the first person to shiny hunt, but to my recollection, he was the first to hunt in the way we know today, usually hanging out on stream, resetting, hunting, etc. All that stuff. 2013 was also the first season of the Global Battle Association, and while I missed the first season in 2013, I was enamored with the second season over the summer of 2014. Now, if you don't know, the Global Battle Association was the first of a myriad of Pokemon draft leagues, where a group of competitive battlers would snake draft a set amount of Pokemon, would have to team build with only those Pokemon, and would have to game plan against other battlers' specific Pokemon team. You had people coming up with sets that made no sense otherwise, such as Shaman without an item to completely counter Red Crawdon, Speedy support Delphox, or even relatively unused Pokemon such as Cosmic Power, Weakness Policy, Baton Pass, Drifblim. I still can't believe that worked. This battle format was popularized as the years moved on, but it eventually succumbed to one of the most backbreaking things, and it wasn't the only thing to suffer later on down the line, but that's a story for later. As for me, I started my channel, known as Gearheart, on July 6, 2014. It was named after one of the nicknames I used for my favorite Pokemon, Gallade. But even though I didn't really start uploading or using the capture card until about October 2014, it was a fun start coming up with ideas. I loved Wi-Fi battling. I started uploading regular 6v6 Wi-Fi battles, as well as something called Battle Spot Champions, where people could submit sets, and if those sets were the MVP of their match in Battle Spot, they could survive to the next day to do the challenge again. And for the most part, that's what I did early on. I also participated in the GBA D League later into 2015, but honestly, it's just what I love to do, so I did content on it. But speaking of 2015, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came and went, and for the most part, 2015 was more of the same. There wasn't really a new game that came out that year anyway. It was more Nuzlockes, Wi-Fi battles, draft leagues, shiny hunting, you know the rest. But what was on the horizon we thought was more things to do. A new generation. And while not much was known after Sun and Moon's initial announcement in February 2016, the usual news kickoff of the new game started in May, as it always did with new games. And as we got closer, a lot of people wanted to speculate Generation 7. Myself included, having already changed my mascot from Gallade to Duat, I started the Road to Sun and Moon, which became a staple in of itself, as I kept doing the road to new games for every other new game after the fact. But this series was a common upload for me, covering everything I could while adding to the speculation. This, in tandem with all of the Wi-Fi battle content I did, helped my channel grow to about 4,000 subscribers. It was fun to talk to different people, make content, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But something started to wane as soon as Generation 7 kicked off later that year and into 2017. For the most part, as we get into 2017, alongside the usual content came the edited content. This more or less came out of all the speculation from 2016 with Sun and Moon. Now, this content wasn't new, it just became more common during this time. I tried continuing Wi-Fi content into the new year, but something didn't really feel right. The meta shifts, the new Pokemon, Z moves, they kind of washed out the fun I was having from Generation 6. On top of that, my channel's activity sunk a bit, and in combination of me starting to play a lot more Overwatch and the National Pokemon League, another draft league I was a part of at the time, all of that started to get to me. What happened? Why am I losing so much? Definitions spanning a lot of different variations over each of these topics. And even though I had a video go viral in the summer of 2017, I trudged onward. I went back to what made my channel in 2016, the edited content, sacrificing what I loved doing, Wi-Fi content. In fact, I told a friend that if that viral video where I reacted to my decade-old Pokemon Diamond copy didn't go viral, I probably would have quit content altogether. Especially when I found out a month later I got kicked out of the NPA because I brought upon a negative experience for others, which was exacerbated by my lack of growth on YouTube and Overwatch driving me up the wall. Even though I had doubled my subscriber count to about 7.6 thousand, all of this was basically foreshadowing. At the time, I was streaming Persona 5 and shifting blame with excuses, so in hindsight, it was well deserved. But this is the point I like to mark as where things started to be less interesting and less fun. And throughout the rest of Generation 7, it was just more of the same recycled content. I mean, I was telling myself that I was still having fun doing it, having met a lot of people in person at PAX East in Boston in 2017 and 2018, and into 2018 I continued focusing on the content that worked rather than content that I enjoyed doing. But all that did was slowly turn me bitter towards this content. There was a point in late 2018 where I thought I had a negative impact on the community and decided to step back and take a break. Someone who I thought was a friend that I met at PAX 2018 blocked me, others unfollowed me. I needed to step back. This had to have been on me. So how could I hit the reset button? Cue two things. 1. The announcement of the next Pokemon generation. Generation 8. Pokemon Sword and Shield. It was the best excuse to hit the reset button. Which leads me to the second thing, where I gathered a bunch of new art, branding, and everything. And when I went to PAX East 2019, I changed my branding to what you see right now, Treadway. I wanted to leave behind all my toxicity, negative impacts, and wanted to start anew. A new chapter. Or at least I thought it was. Honestly, nothing really changed in regards to content, as it was still the same edited content as it was before. But I did not anticipate two things kneecapping not only me, but Pokemon content as a whole. And from both sides. This would alter my plans for the rest of 2019, and for the remaining time I would be making content. The first was at PAX East 2019. While most of the Pokemon YouTube community was in Boston, Massachusetts that weekend, the community cratered as a few well-regarded, at the time, creators were rightfully thrown under the bus for terrible things they did. I'm not going to bring up what happened here. It's not my place to say, nor is it my thing to say either, as none of it involved me. The shockwaves that followed definitely affected not only me, but the community as a whole. From my experiences leading into the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield, people were too scared to collaborate with anyone. They stuck with people that were closest in their inner circle. It was understandable, as you didn't know what skeletons people were hiding in their closet. They didn't want to risk being associated with a monster. A lot of people stuck with working on their own content, and while a lot of options were shut down, the other thing I mentioned really slammed the door shut. With the release of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee in 2018, people noticed that the Wi-Fi battle timer was only 20 minutes long. But we brushed that aside thinking, it's not an official competitive game, so we didn't think much of it. But...
Oh, okay. What? There's just no way. There is just no possible way.
Hold on, bro.
This game trash.
Yeah. So the 20-minute timer stuck around into an actual competitive game. Because of this, it was almost impossible to complete a full 6v6 singles Wi-Fi battle in that time frame. There were too many animations, too much switching between Pokemon, and a lot of calcing that drained the clock too fast. This in itself killed off Wi-Fi battle content. In regards to Smogon and Draft League, VGC was fine for the most part. And on top of that, Dynamax completely replaced Mega Evolutions, which Smogon insta-banned Dynamax anyway, so there's basically no gimmick to have fun with in the main metagame. So, combining the 20-minute timer killing off Wi-Fi content, while the shockwaves from PAX East 2019 killing off collaborations, a lot of the stuff I enjoyed was almost unobtainable, but I still told myself I loved doing it. So, I switched it up in 2020. Instead of focusing on the bad, I wanted to do something that I knew I'd enjoy. I started a project that had been in the works since 2018, known as Pokemon Soul the Storm. This involved me randomizing a copy of Pokemon Soul Silver, recording the gameplay in chapters, and using what occurred in each gameplay chapter, I would use that to world build. I created a storyline that was based on Soul Silver's story, but worked upon it with inspirations from Atlas games, such as Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, etc., existing Pokemon lore, and the supernatural to create an individual story with characters who had their own purpose for the story with their own character development. This included the gym leaders, the main character, hell, even the Pokemon had their own personalities and character development. I wanted to make someone have an emotional investment into the story as I did with the games I played in the past, mainly Atlas games. And how it was shown was how any JRPG looked like. Character portraits, a text box, voice acting. I loved working on this project, and while I didn't see any growth from it and was pretty expensive to complete each video, with the art and voice acting of course, I wouldn't change anything about it. I don't regret creating this project at all. It was the most fun I've had making content in a long time. But as 2022 came around, it led me to a point. I was still working on Pokemon Soul the Storm and my own stuff for the most part, but I had disconnected from the Pokemon community more than I would have liked to. I still kept in touch with friends, but I could never find a clear direction of the main content people were posting. I barely saw Wi-Fi content, or Nuzlocke nowadays. I couldn't tell what the plan was, so I told myself, maybe Soul the Storm is my swan song. I'll just complete it and sail off into the sunset. Yeah, February 26, 2022 changed that as Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were revealed and a choice had to be made. Do I try one more time with Generation 9? Give it my all? The last shot? That's what I told myself. And if nothing changed, I was going to truly walk away once everything was said and done. I spent the rest of the time leading up to Generation 9 streaming my usual Journey of Generations before the launch of the next games, creating content from that, and trying to bring discussion to the channel. But for the most part, it was the same. Lack of engagement, lack of growth, and more of the mental dissonance between me and my content. What happened to the passion? Why isn't it as fun as I remember? Well, after Scarlet and Violet were released, I tried doing content, but I quickly realized something. That aided by the fact that the 20-minute timer was still there after people bitched about it for 4 years straight. What I realized was that when I looked at my content as a whole, it's not that I hate doing content specifically. I mean, just look at Soul the Storm. That was awesome to do, which that series is indefinitely incomplete since I lack funding for it. No, the real problem was that I kept forcing content that I didn't enjoy because it got views and growth for me back in the day, while the content that I enjoyed doing was killed off because I slowly disconnected from the community and Wi-Fi battles were so restricted with the 20-minute timer. If you look at my content from 2022, which is unlisted now, it's somewhere there on my channel, you can see how lazy it was. It was me playing the old games on stream, rambling, talking, speculating, but it was so lazy. I'm not proud of it at all. It's not engaging, it's not exciting, it's not interesting. I just did it for the sake of having an upload. I truly understood, and I finally accepted that I had lost my passion, not for content, but for Pokemon. So at the start of 2023, I called it quits. Well, that's what I told myself back then, but certain things happened. And for some reason, I thought it was a good idea to portray myself as, well, this character that you see here. This was my favorite character that I had created from Pokemon Soul the Storm, Thrash the Jolteon. He was created with the idea that one can be badass, have an ego, but deep down care about his surroundings, friends, and future. Funnily enough, this tracking VTuber model hasn't even been revealed on my accounts that already have the new branding. So, YouTube gets the first look at him. I'm still going to do the full reveal over on Twitch and Twitter, since that's how you're supposed to do it. I think. But that's why the link to those accounts have been broken over here, as those accounts' names don't exist anymore. But why would I want to spend resources on something like this and new branding? Honestly, I asked the same thing when I thought of this idea. I finally realized I hate making content, but that can't be right. Where did the passion go? What can I do to make content fun again? Those are the things I asked myself. How could I get back to 2014 to 2017 where I had so much fun? Simple. Find the aspects you enjoyed back then and recreate them some other ways. If I don't lock myself in a box forcing Pokemon content, the possibilities are endless. But uploading new content always starts with low numbers. Oh, I know about that. And that's where the other aspect comes in. The main one. Making content with friends. That was the biggest key in what made content fun from 2014 to 2017 in comparison to 2018 to 2022. When you make content by yourself, that can only get you so far. But when you pair it with content that you can make with others, it's a lot more exciting and fun. So then, what's the plan moving forward? Well, like I said, I haven't yet revealed this model, branding, and stream assets yet over on my Twitch channel or Twitter account. If you want to find the new ads for those accounts, they'll be in the description below. Apparently, with this VTuber thing, you need a debut, and for that, that's still up in the air at the time of writing this video. I don't know when that's gonna happen. I definitely want to be streaming before Persona 3 Reload comes out on February 2nd, so it'll be sometime between now and then. I ain't showing off everything about the model here. That'll be over on Twitter. I ain't calling it X either. And when I finally do the debut stream over on Twitch, this channel will be no longer known as Treadway. It will take upon the new branding around this character. And honestly, that's the goal. I want to have fun with content again. If that means playing a character, hanging with friends, making content with others, and uploading what I want rather than what I think people want, then so be it. I hope you'll join me for the next chapter. What? Do you think I was gonna say something cheesy? This ain't a charity. This ain't the old Treadway you're talking to. Oh, I get it. You want to hear it one last time, don't you? Fine. For the last time, and truly, I want to say this. That is how you do it. Thank you.